So Ron's out there doing the 99 county tour. I think you may be ahead of me. Hey, you know what? We're in Iowa, and in Iowa, we're Iowa nice. So let's give everybody the opportunity to hear our candidates.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political buffoonery.
America.
Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called Political Buffoonery.
Welcome to the silly season, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, the show that features some of the dumb news making the rounds during the week. So we're in the middle of the silly season here in American politics. That means we're in the summer, Congress is not in session. There's not a lot of political news that's out there, let alone funny political news. So I thought for this episode, which by the way is number 100 on the Buffoon of the Week YouTube channel, I can't believe we made it that far. We're going to be discussing some highlights from the Iowa State Fair, featuring some Republican candidates and the race to relatability. You know, folks, sometimes politics is not so much about policy proposals or position papers. It's about interacting with people, real life interactions. And that's where we get this idea that I discuss in my book. I'm reaching for it now. Schnooks, Crooks, Liars, and Scoundrels, a field guide to identifying political buffoons, available on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and other online bookstores. The idea of political perception, optics, and all the things that makes a politician, that outward persona that they want to craft, that can border into buffoonery if they end up becoming not aware of what their actual perception is, or they cross over a line into becoming more of a political narcissist. We see the makings of that at political events like this Iowa State Fair. You know, some politicians are out there looking to become, I don't know, maybe the everyman. We saw Mike Pence in his gas station buffoonery. Well, here's Mike Pence on the grill, as you'll see, serving up some pork chops. By the way, the Iowa State Fair, one of the biggest events in the state, $150 million usually generated from this event, and all kinds of food is given out there. Food is the big deal there, whether it be the sculpture of the butter cow or the pork chops on a stick. But for Mike Pence here, it's about relatability and about, hey, I'm the every guy. Or it's about time with your family, like we see here with Ron DeSantis and his family on the bumper cars. Look out there, oh, that's your wife. It's about showing off these moments of, I'm a family man. This is what we do for fun. Of course, nobody else is allowed on the bumper cars while Ron DeSantis is on it. But hey, he's being a relatable guy at the fair. These are things that families do at the fair. So on the topic of relatability, here's a story that Nikki Haley related to a crowd during one of Governor Kim Reynolds' Fairside chats with candidates, just to show that she's a regular person who goes through her own buffoonish moments, just like we all do in our everyday lives.
You a story of what that happened. So he left me as a single mom governor when he deployed. And yes, we're still married. So that says a lot. But one day we were sitting there and I was trying to get my two little ones out the door. And my son had a presentation he had to make. He was just a little thing. And so he had to wear a tie. And I didn't know how to tie a tie, so it was a little clip-on tie. But anyway, we're walking out the door, and he's like, Mom, I can't get my tie. And so I go to the detail agent, and I said, can you help me get this tie? I can't get it. So we go and get the tie. I kiss his cheeks. I send him on his way. And, I'm in my robe at the time. I turn around to open the door to the governor's residence, and it's locked. And so I'm sitting out in the robe outside the governor's residence, and I'm looking at the surveillance cameras going, let me in, because I don't know when a TV truck is going to drive by, right? And so all of a sudden, it felt like 5 minutes went by. I don't know how long it was. My daughter opens the door and goes, Mom, what are you doing outside in your robe? And I said, I got locked out. She goes, well, I'm late. So I hurry up. I help her get dressed, send her out the door. And I happened to tweet what not to do is, get locked out of the house with your robe on. And I get in the car, and the detail says, ma'am, I'm sorry, your morning started off rough. And I was like, oh, did you see my tweet? And he said, no, I heard it on the radio. And I go, oh. And then I look at my phone, and my staff is blowing me up going, did you just put a tweet out there that you got locked out in your robe? And the next thing I know, the Today Show, CNN, all these people are like, have you ever been locked out of your house in the robe? Well, the governor of South Carolina has. And I get this email from my husband, Michael, and all it says is, really, Nikki?
So there's a nice example of relatability, right? The idea that you want to show everybody at the fair, because this is your moment in front of people from across the state in one of the more important states at the beginning of the election cycle, just to show, hey, I'm just a regular person. I got locked out of my house just like a dummy would. And, that idea of relatability. So for some candidates, it's about relatability. I'm just a regular person. I'm approachable. I'm accessible. And for others, it's about memory making. Here's a great example of that. So this is definitely going to get me in trouble with YouTube and probably get me a copyright claim, but whatever, it's worth it. So this is Vivek Ramaswami at the Iowa State Fair, the same sort of Kim Reynolds Fairside chat, but he's not relating a story about himself. He's rapping.
Loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's joking how everybody's joking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, plow, snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up that easy. Oh.
That might be a first in Republican politics, but it's about standing out. The whole idea of the Ramaswamy campaign is to get his name out there, to make moments, to get people's attention, to say, hey, look at me. This is the ultimate in getting the attention right now. Who goes up on stage as a Republican at a state fair and breaks out the M&M? I mean, it's pretty cool for me, at least. I think it's pretty freaking cool. But this is another example of what you do in Iowa during the silly season. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. So what do I mean when I talk about the silly season? Well, I found this article from 2022 from Inside North Virginia, InsideNova.com, that discusses some of these ideas. So there's a thing in politics called the silly season. It's the time when campaigning politicians do whatever they can to get voters' attention, usually through frivolous and outlandish exploits. And we're going to have plenty of examples of that as we continue with this video. This used to occur only during the last weeks of an election, like an October surprise. That's another term that's used for a headline-grabbing event meant to show a candidate in a negative light or to boost a candidate's chances of winning later on. But over time, the silly season stretched to a few months. Now, in this case, it was 2 years from Election Day, politicians have cemented themselves in the silly season. The extension of the silly season is due in large part to a combination of factors. First is the proliferation of shock jock politicians who have commoditized outrage and run for office to be someone instead of to do something. I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. Second is the sports rivalry fervor that now passes as political awareness, wherein a decision is judged by its origin instead of its merit. It's something I talk about in my book as well, the idea of partisan laundry. You root for the laundry rather than rooting for the person or the idea or the policy. Finally, and this seems to be the most prolific apparently in North Virginia of late, it is caused by a lust for advancement among the current class of elected officials. But unfortunately, it wasn't all fun and games and glad handing and pork chops at the Iowa State Fair. Every party has a pooper, and that's why these people apparently showed up during Ron DeSantis' speech with Governor Kim Reynolds. And as you see, they're out here trying to lower it a little bit. They're out here trying to shout him down. They're out here trying to disturb his presentation with Kim Reynolds with whistles and cowbells and all the like. It's just dumb when you think about it. I'm going to actually use it now so we can have a little more of a discussion. Look! The bad mouthing, the middle finger out. This is real buffoonery at the state fair. It's not just the optics of politics and trying to make yourself a viable candidate and likable and all that. This is the real buffoonery. Look at the middle finger up to the guy with the hat on. Guy looks like he's spitting on him. Absolutely ridiculous. But this is what comes with the territory with events like this. For every person you're trying to reach, there's going to be other people out there that are going to be trying to stop you from reaching those people. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, share, comment, smash that thumbs up button on the video, subscribe to the channel so we can continue talking about more things like this during the silly season and beyond, with all the shenanigans and buffoonery happening this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called Political Buffoonery.